All right, we'll call the Park and Rec, first Park and Rec meeting of the year to order. Roll call, please.
Steve,
Here.
AJ,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Emma,
Here.
and Cindy. Here.
All right. Item 2, first period for public comment. If anybody wants to make a public comment, please come up to the lectern. You're going to have to hit the person on the microphone. I'll turn on the microphone. Please state your name, address, and keep it to 3 minutes or less, please.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Coons. I live E4639A Norwegian Hollow Road, Viroqua, Wisconsin, since 1990. I saw the agenda on Facebook and I thought I'm going to come in and say some nice things to you guys. So first of all, thank you for doing what you do. I think that people underappreciate what recreation is, and what play is, and how important it is. You can drive by somebody's backyard and see kids playing and say, isn't that great? Or you can be at a playground and watch some grandparents with their kids and say, isn't that great? But there's a lot of work that has to occur for those things to happen. And I appreciate you guys have been handling some hard topics like, putting the old playground to rest and putting a new one in. And that's not easy work. And I know that having been in a small town for a long time and involved with starting things, that sometimes you're in the middle of the road trying to do good and you don't always get a lot of pats in the back. So thank you for taking on that huge project. And it's for my 4 grandkids. So far, 3 of them have been of age where that's the number one thing they want to do when they come visit Grandma and Grandpa. So I'm also the pickleball guy, and I want to give a shout out to Kale and the city for supporting what has been kind of a passion for me to bring this sport to the community. It's multi-generational and gets a lot of people who have very different walks of life, very different ideas, very different experiences, all of a sudden are just playing as kids and having a good time, a healthy enjoyment. So obviously it's a growth issue for a community to try to figure out how to keep everybody happy, including the pickleballers. And I'm just hoping, I appreciate the support that our growing community of players has had, and hope you can continue to prioritize healthy physical activities that get people off their screens and outside. It is so important because life does not make it easy for people to be healthy. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to make a public comment? Is there anyone online that would like to make a public comment?
We have a few people online, but it does not look like anybody's rushing to make a public comment at this time.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, approval of committee minutes from December 2nd, 2025.
This is Seth. I make a motion that we move to approve the minutes from December 2nd.
CGL second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll move on to item 4, discussion with possible action regarding the use of the old pool filter house.
So if you guys remember correctly, this was kind of spurred from a agenda meeting or agenda item that we had on one of our previous agendas in regards to the Welcome Center, behind the Welcome Center area with the community gardens. We had a Macintosh Memorial Library wanted more use of that space. And then in regards to that, they also had talked about using the old pool house filter room. And Amelia is here to kind of discuss more about it because it wasn't on the agenda when we discussed it. So we wanted to put that on the agenda because there was some concerns by a few people about that use. But in regards, and after talking with the library and some other organizations, preferably the Welcome Center, or the chamber that's going to use that space, following up with them, I know myself and the library had mentioned, or they had mentioned to us that they have no need for that space. And not sure if other people have heard other things, but reaching out and hearing it from them. And then just in regards to the Park and Rec, we have no use of that space. In talking with Trina and Amelia, my recommendation would let the library use that space on a as needed basis, unless something were to come up and we would make change to that filter house, or for some reason, the Park and Rec would need that space down the road or something in our comprehensive outdoor rec plan, that we needed it. So that would be my recommendation, but I know we had that discussion a couple months ago, so we can talk about that. Amelia, do you want to add anything? Sorry.
Yeah, so is it? Okay. Hi, I'm Amelia Jury. I am the Youth Services Director at McIntosh Memorial Library. As Kale was just saying, the library would like to request use of the current old pump house shed that is located beside the garden on Rock Avenue. With the garden shed, we plan to renovate it into a space to become a garden tool library. We are working with Caleb DeWitt and his nonprofit Harmony Accelerate alongside a partnership with the Nelson Agri Center here in town to acquire tools, of which that process is already underway. We are planning to launch this garden tool shed on Saturday, March 14th in a big seed community giveaway to help our community of Viroqua really start to meet the motto of growing together and helping people plant gardens at home. With this garden tool shed, it would be controlled by the library, and all patrons would sign a waiver of liability and safety before checking out any items to take home. This would run March through October, and like I said before, they would get to use these items that have been checked out from the garden tool shed to cultivate their gardens at home and really transform our community into a positive green space. We have already ordered 64 plus tools from Nelson Agri Center in our partnership, which have started to arrive at the library and will be ready to go underway when this gets started. And as Kale mentioned, the library is flexible should the community center or Parks and Recreation find another use for this building in coming years.
Does the pump house need any like retrofitting or anything to make it, appropriate use for a tool shed?
From our experience with the shed so far, it seems to be mostly up to code. We would have an inspector come and take a look at it. And then we are planning to put up like pegboard along the walls to store the tools on.
Okay.
When you say community center, you mean the Welcome Center?
Yes, apologies.
Yeah, okay. And it was the chamber you said you talked to that said that they did.
Yeah, me and Trina reached out to the chamber and they had mentioned that at this time, they don't see a need for that space.
I guess I feel like it should have been more tourism too, should have been. It's not just the chamber space, but anyway, okay, thank you.
Cindy, is there a possible use you see for that building?
Just storage someday is all I'm thinking. I don't know, but I'm just was raising that. That's all.
Okay.
But the fact that, if they're open and flexible to any changes in the future, so.
When we did the community gardens, there was sort of a time commitment, and I know that was attached to a grant, and that was well before your time here, Amelia, when that had started. So you're just looking for a year-to-year commitment on the
Yes.
use of the space? Okay.
I guess we'd be looking for a motion.
This is Seth. I make a motion that we allow the McIntosh Memorial Library to utilize the former pool pump house as a garden tool shed on a year-to-year basis.
This is AJ. I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just to put in clarification, and maybe I botched this when I asked Amelia the question, but I think originally you had proposed it as sort of an indefinite, like until there's a notification from the Park and Rec Department that, hey, we're not gonna do this again. Because otherwise they would have to come back here every year and ask for this permission. And if you guys would like that, that's great. But I think as
No.
the motion stands right now, you're basically requesting that they'd have to come back every year to ask.
I would like to amend that motion to have that use on a definite timeline unless Parks and Rec or other city entities see another need for it.
I will second that.
All right, so we have a new motion, new second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Emma, did we get Emma? I didn't hear her.
I did but can you hear me?
We got you now. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 5, discussion with possible action on outdoor ice rink.
So I added this to the agenda because the last 2 weeks we've had a lot of discussion from community members on why the ice rink is not open. And as you guys hopefully know, it's because of the weather. It's been fluctuating up and down, and we haven't had consistent temperatures in the teens to even try to flood it. We were hoping to flood it before Christmas, and then the snow came, and we were plowing, and then after that, then it got warm, so we didn't even flood it. So this is more of agenda item to kind of just discuss the possible ideas for this year, if we even want to continue with the ice rink for this year. I would recommend that if there's cold weather, we would definitely try it, but we are getting up against the time frame. Normally we start right before the holidays. We try to get it the holidays. Normally it's the first part of January, and then February, the end of February, we just let it go. We don't do any more because the temperatures are higher or warmer during that time. Looking at the extended forecast for this week, it does not look good. Tomorrow and Wednesday are in the 40s, so everything that's even out there, I'm guessing, is going to melt. Then extended forecast, nothing looks good in the teens for, at least a week. So that puts us to the back of, mid to late January to even have a chance. So again, just starting to think about, do we put time and effort into the ice rink this year, or do we make a decision? I know it's hard to say that. Our biggest hurdle is if we get any precipitation. It's me and Dustin and Miles once in a while when he can come in. So we're pulled away plowing all police, fire, trails and all that. So in talking with other local communities like La Crosse, they actually flooded before Christmas and all theirs melted away. They do not have an ice rink up and going. All the local communities that I talked to, none of them are open right now. And their two concerns are the weather. And then their second concern is most of their staff is also plowing snow. So I've asked a lot of them if they're even going to think about trying to get an ice rink going, and they're like us. They don't know. Sparta used to have one. They don't do an outdoor one anymore because they have the indoor ice rink. And then Richland Center, they stopped theirs during COVID, and they don't have one anymore. And West Salem, did I say West Salem? West Salem is also one that does not have one at this time. So there's not a lot of local communities that do it anymore just because the weather is so unpredictable. And again, when it snows, a lot of their maintenance crews are out plowing just like we are. And again, I'm not saying we don't want to do it. It's just, it's hard. Like last year, me and Nate talked about it. It was a great year. We had no snow. It was cold. We did it, but we still only opened it for probably 15 days, you know? So those are the discussions that we need to start having, I feel, as a committee, you know, is it worth it depending on the year, you know? So-
Just to get an idea, what is involved pre-flooding on
So-
your guys' end? Is there, I haven't actually even been down there when
Yeah, so
there
ours is a
ice
little
open.
different than you see from, you know, just
Don't have
backyard neighborhood people. They have liners.
liners.
Ours is just a berm with gravel. So we haul down 2-3 loads of gravel from the Public Works. They help us and then we berm it. And then we need frost to keep the
Right.
water in. So like if we flooded it right now, it would just pull the frost
Really
right
not.
out. And days like this, we had talked about, you know, do we look at purchasing a liner? For one, that's going to be a huge expensive liner, and then wear and tear. If it snows, trying to get that off, we'll probably hit the
Mhm.
liner and it'd probably start leaking. So we'd probably have to get a liner every couple of years, if so.
Trying to remember who somebody at the hockey rink I was having a discussion with that had talked about donating something like that, but even with a donated one, it's still the upkeep of maintaining. And it's just under the current scenario, you almost need a full week of sub freezing
Yep.
temperatures to even get a base to think about flooding it. And it would be one thing if we didn't have an arena available that at least once, if not twice a weekend, have open skate. So yeah, even being a hockey player, I can understand just it's almost easier to say, sorry, there isn't going to be a rink this year, then we don't have to worry about people bothering about it every time it gets cold. For
Yep.
guys.
And that was the hard part. It's like,
Right.
yes, it warmed up. It was cold. Like I said, we probably could have did it before Christmas, but
Coulda got a day.
then we would have put all that water down and it would all went away anyway, just like lacrosse did. So, so it's a hard discussion to have. It's just something I want you guys to know about and think about as we continue. Cause again, we're getting a lot of calls, City Hall and the Park and Rec, and why it's not open. You know, I had a guy stop by Friday that was pretty upset and tried to, you know, have that conversation with them, and you know, it's just hard.
Can you maybe talk about why like snow sitting on top of the ice is also not good for the rink if it is established, but like can you tell like how the maintenance of that actually falls, like where that falls in your priority list?
Yeah, so as you guys know, our first priority is, you know, plowing snow at police and fire to open those up. When we do get snow at the ice arena or outdoor ice rink, if it sits on that, it, you know, heats the water up and starts melting it. So we try to get that off as soon as we can after we go do our rounds. But that takes time and effort to do that as well. We try to put the broom on the BX. That's the best way to get it off. But depending on how big the snowstorm is, sometimes we have to bring the tractor or the truck or the tractor. And then sometimes that breaks the ice and then we have to reflood it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a lot of work to maintain that outdoor ice rink. It's awesome when it's a perfect winter. And then like last year, again, it was for 3 weeks, we had great ice and a lot of people used it. So I think there is a need. It's just hard to justify it when the weather is so wishy-washy.
There are other ways to have a rink. I mean, the chillers I've heard people talking about, or even covering it so it doesn't get the snow. I know that's all money, but I just think that the outdoor rink is as important to people as the outdoor pool. And I'm afraid that you know, we,
And that's where we would have to start talking about,
Yeah.
like, yes, do we go, do we look at finding a way to put money into a more consistent outdoor chillers or ice rink ribbon where, you know, there are other options than just trying to flood a,
yeah, so there
Flood it.
are ways we could make it work.
yes, just more expensive.
Right.
A
There's
lot
also
more.
a reason why we built an arena, as I learned in my youth. There was just hard without a covered area for outdoor to maintain ice with the way this is. So, yeah, it would have to be something to look at in the future.
Well, it need to be the community input or community involvement in something like this.
Yeah.
And also I would think just cleaning off the snow could be a community. I mean, thing instead of you guys having to do all this stuff.
And there are times that we come down and there's kids already with shovels and they're
Yeah,
trying to clean it
I
off.
remember that,
Yep. So we
Definitely
do
remember
appreciate that.
Growing up, it seemed like the rink was open forever in the wintertime. But
It was always
it was a different
colder.
time.
Yeah. I think like even Ontario sometimes puts up a rink, but they have a covered shelter down there, and it's the ease of if there's a concrete floor in it to start with, because I know lacrosse next to Copeland Park up there, theirs is covered and
Yep.
they have rink. And they aren't even able to maintain it right now.
No.
So I appreciate the update.
So did you want a decision from us?
Well, if you guys feel comfortable with making a decision this year, if not, you know, we don't need a decision. We will continue to try if the weather gets cold, unless you feel strongly where we're going to run up until the end of, like I said, the extended forecast doesn't look good, but it could change. So, you know, it's hard to tell you.
What is the cost to flood it?
That's what I was trying. Cheryl was going to run me some numbers on how much water cost, and she hasn't got them to me yet. So I can't tell you right off the
Sure.
top of my head how much we use for water.
Well, I just want to put it out there that there is a cost to just even putting water down
Yes.
for the city. So
Yep.
at this point in time, I'd say, yes, if it gets cold enough, do it. But unfortunately, it's like, you know, that's the best I can give you.
Right. And it'd almost be if we don't see an extended cold forecast by February, then you're more than
Would that be something
welcome
like
to say, all right, if
if we
this
don't
isn't
flood it by February?
foreseen by February 1st, then sorry, there isn't going to be a rink this year
Right.
type scenario. Whether or not that needs a motion or not.
Yeah, I think he'd like.
I would like
He'd
that.
like a motion.
This is Seth. I make a motion that if there is not a extended forecast that allows for the rink to be comfortably flooded by February 1st, that you are allowed to notify that there will not be an outdoor rink this year.
Can we add something that in the future, we're going to use?
Yeah.
I know I was gonna add, this is gonna add about the adding to his motion.
Yeah, but I think
Cover that.
you have to second it and then you can make amendments to the motion.
This is AJ. I will second that motion.
Any other discussion?
Oh, I was hoping that we could add something that we're going to look into another way to make the ice rink work, outdoor ice rink work, rather than just relying on weather, because we just can't anymore. For the future, not for this year, of course, but I don't know if that's a separate motion, but
You know, it's your guys' prerogative on whether you want to make a motion. I'll just jump in that Kayla and I did have, we've had multiple conversations. Kayla and I talk every year, and I started this conversation actually back with Boone when he was still here about the ice rink and just like the challenges of it. And, you know, I think we're at the point here where like we have to start looking at some other options. Right now, Kale's in the middle of Eckhart Playground. And that's kind of been his baby since he showed up on, you know, the doorstep here is kind of getting that done. But I think that will probably be, you know, a project that we can start working on. I think we talked about conversations with the hockey arena and saying like, what I, do we look at more options for indoor public skating? Do we look at technical assistance on how we might be able to get the outdoor rink more in a more stable situation, or give it a better chance of making it throughout the year? I mean, we just haven't had the opportunity to really fully explore this, or even have preliminary conversations, I would say. I think Cale obviously talks to a lot of his fellow park and rec directors, but
Sounds like part of your comprehensive outdoor recreation plan goal.
right. And that's that's a great point as well. Like, we have a laundry list of things that we need to tackle. Where does this land in terms of priority among those other items?
Having been involved when the outdoor pool closed and how that has just upset people forever, and how important it was to the community. And I think there are people that I feel just as important to be outside ice skating. And I just would like us to not just dismiss it and think, oh, they'll indoors will be fine. Even though I know they're busy there, we might not have enough time there either. I just want us to try to do the outdoor rink. I think that's what the public would want.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Hi, sorry.
And opposed? All right, so the ayes have it. All right, moving on to item 6, discussion with possible action on Eckert Playground project timeline.
This was more of a update unless you guys have a discussion on this. So today I just received information from Play by Design. The tentative date that we had set was October 5th for the playground build. However, they just got a hold of me today. October 5th doesn't work, but they would like to move it up a week. So September 28th is tentatively the date we'll start building that if everything goes as planned. I did contact them. I said, pencil us in. I have a meeting tonight. We'll check with September 28th. However, also give me some additional dates in September and October if there's anything open. But I know in September we get close to the fair. So I'm sure September 28th is the date we're going to hopefully go for, but I just wanted to check on their schedule if they have any additional dates. But as of right now, the update, and if you guys feel like that's a good date, that's what we're going with. September 28th through, I think it would be October, that Saturday, October 2nd maybe, or 3rd. So,
And then,
October 3rd.
The
'Cause-
fair would be that 14th.
roughly, yeah.
And then the harvest parade would probably be the 26th, the 27th, the weekend before.
And there's Viola Horse and Colt show too. That would be like the 26th, 25th, 26th. So,
But it also avoids the harvest parade is what.
Right, but there won't be a playground.
Yeah,
That will be,
I think it's as good a week as any, honestly.
Yeah.
It's still going to be warm enough that it's comfortable to be outside working,
originally, I think, so originally we were scheduled for some time in late or
October,
middle
right?
May,
oh,
and then we moved it to late October or mid-October.
Yeah.
But then there was also complications with, we're running out of sunlight. Thanks to Georgia reminding everybody. So then we tried to move it up as close we could to September. So this is like pretty much the best we could do, I think.
And it does.
I think it's the best week with everything else.
It does provide enough separation from Fair Week.
Right.
Where people can like, hey, do Fair Week, and they have a break to like recover and, go back to their regular jobs, right? And things like that. And then they can volunteer. So when Cale and I talked about it, it's like, I don't see a better option for us.
Right.
Frankly. And we probably bought ourselves 20, 30 minutes of daylight extra by having it end that week in September instead of like, I think we were talking about like October 13th or 15th or something. to that
Something
effect,
like that,
so.
yeah.
October 19th was the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah, so that's puts us in a much better position. So, I mean, at this point, I think Kale's looking for us to give the go ahead to, I mean, at this point, would you just say like, that is our preferred,
Yeah.
our
When-
preferred spot? I don't know when or how, you wouldn't want to go earlier in September because everybody's in back to school or fair prep mode, and
Right.
August would be a mess for volunteer standpoint.
Need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we accept the September 20th as our preferred date for the construction of the playground.
This is Seth. I second that motion.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Can't wait. All right, item 7, discussion with possible action on in-kind donation and project contracts for Eckhart Playground project.
Okay, I'll try to answer this, but Nate, Lori, jump in if I murder this one. What I'm looking for, due to all the in-kind donations that will be coming in, hopefully will be coming in, and project contracts for the playground as such, the plaque that what did we call that?
It's like the bridge donor wall.
The donor wall contract, in-kind donations like Tree Loving Care wants to donate time to help trim the trees. Forecash Electric wants to help donate with moving some light poles around and all that. So I'm just trying to get a sense of how we're going to put all these contracts and donations together and get it okayed by council. So in talking with Nate and Lori, we would need a resolution to council from this group with expectations, I would say, of how we want to put it together so they could approve. Lori, jump in.
I suggested that because normally all contracts go to council, that if you guys could do a resolution recommending that, like Park and Rec or who could authorize that in its stead, like up to a certain amount. So if it's within the financial guidelines that they're allowed to sign those contracts to move them forward, and then he would just do an update to let you know what has been established, because it's such a moving target that rather than bringing one individually every time, that you could keep it moving forward that
I
way.
would imagine we're gonna end up with like 6 or 7 different contracts, and that's just gonna get onerous for everybody. And per George, even if they're doing in-kind donations, we're still gonna want contracts, because you're gonna want to make sure you have expectations as well as insurance and work comp and all those other things that come with people who do work on the city's behalf, and make sure all that is stated and available and things like that. And so,
And within the resolution, putting review by the administrator and attorneys that
That the
to kind of
contracts-
put a safeguard in there that council isn't seeing it, but there are still safeguards in there for it.
and we kind of played around with the number of like up to something that was close to like the $20,000 mark. So if somebody was providing electrical work and they valued their work at $7,000, but it was an in-kind donation, we were able to do that. Demo work.
What was the amount? Sorry.
Well, we were throwing around the idea of $20,000, and we're not dead set on it, but that is a number that's often used in like our purchasing policy and things like that. Certainly the mural wall will be under that amount. I don't know what the value of like demo work, if it comes to that, because again, that how the current playground gets removed is still Kale's working on it, right? But there will certainly be, the value of Emily's work on the trees and stuff like that should all be under the $20,000 mark. So that should be fine. But if there's bigger contracts, like, hey, somebody's going to come in and provide a $50,000, $50,000 of work, is that just naturally a big enough contract that like, hey, that's a big job. We really should have council review the full thing. it kind of made sense to us. So that way you're only reviewing one contract instead of 6 or 7 very small ones.
So do we need to come up with a resolution today?
We don't have to come up with the resolution today. I think Lori would just encourage us to have, if there's any key aspects of that resolution, like a $20,000 mark, making sure it's reviewed by city administrator and city attorney. And is there another good idea you had, Lori?
Yeah, lots of ideas.
Yeah, lots of good ones.
I think it was basically just the allowing in the amount and the safeguard that it's going to be reviewed. Can't remember if I had another thing in there or not.
Just those two.
I think what I had said is that council would get probably an update as to which ones were approved. So you guys are always in the loop, but it's just that you don't have to bring them forward each one.
So is the resolution then making it so that the playground committee is okay with that, or is it just that Kale can make these contracts? Sorry.
That's kind of the question for if it's going to be the committee or if it's going to be Kale. That's one of the things that you guys, whoever you want to give that authority to, is probably something you should have in the resolution.
It's a good question. I'll throw it out there. Having me sign off on it would be fine. Simply because I'm very engaged with the playground committee, and based on the direction from them, I'd say like, yep, that's good. Contracts are good. I'd work with George and I work closely on contracts, and then I could sign it right thereafter. But that would probably make the most sense.
I think it would still have to be signed by the mayor and myself.
Oh,
You would
okay.
just be approving the fact that it's
Gotcha.
okay. That's part never it doesn't change.
Okay, thank you. Then yes, I would think that plan you say where I'm just authorizing the mayor and Lori to sign, which is kind of a weird situation, but or it sounds weird, but I get what you're saying. I'm authorizing in lieu of council authorizing it. Okay.
Yeah, I would make a motion that somebody, I guess the attorney, writes up the resolution allowing Kale, with the approval of Nate, to do in-kind donations up to $20,000. Yeah, well, with the Kale, without, I don't know if we need to say without just with Kale, approval by Nate, and then the signatures of the mayor and Lori. Is that enough? He's doctoring it up.
It's to allow Kale with Nate's approval up to $20,000 contracts without bringing it back to council for,
I want that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
if that's what you
Do
intended.
you want city attorney on there as well?
Well, the resolution be written by the city attorney.
Well,
In resolution form to forward to city council.
you want a second on that, Lori?
I'm just wanting to make sure what she's saying is right first. I get
said
the,
in-kind donations, but contract, you like the way you said it better.
Yep.
Okay.
This is Seth. I will second that.
I'll pretty it up. Don't worry.
So just
Sorry.
thoughts. One is, I don't know as though George needs to be the one that makes the resolution. I do like the idea of you prescribing that he does it, because either Lori and I would have done it either way, but I think we can work as a team to figure it out, because Lori usually tackles resolutions, but her and I can put that together. More of what George's role would be in this is what he typically does on contracts, is review the contract to make sure all the important language is there, and would basically say, yep, this contract it protects the city, like he did with the play-by-design contract. And he would still need to okay this before even I authorize signatures. And that's, I think, what's missing. But the resolution work is not where we need George.
And when the draft resolution will come before council next week. So if there's a change that you want to make on the resolution once it's put together, if that's not your intent, you can always amend the resolution too.
But I did just want to clarify George's, the expectation for George's role in all this.
Do we need to
No, it's
amend?
usually Lori.
Does that need to be amended then?
No,
Okay.
It's your guys' call. It's your motion. Yeah.
I didn't put it in there because I knew
Okay,
that wasn't
well
going to
then.
happen anyway.
Nice. All right,
You
so
can
we
thank me
have,
later, George.
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8, discussion with possible action on Vets Memorial Park.
This is also a follow-up from a previous agenda item that we had. Nate is bringing um,
Ordinance.
ordinance that was shared with you at the previous meeting. Me, Nate, and George sat down and had a meeting. That's why George is here to kind of bring you guys up to speed on this information that we had talked about and how he feels fit that we should kind of address this. If you guys remember, this was brought to the attention because of the panels at Vets Memorial and how we want to go about this. And then Cindy had found the ordinance on the commission that was created, and currently we don't not have that. So again, I will let, because it's a contract, Nate knows a little bit more on contracts. I'll let him jump in and talk about this one.
Yeah, so this ordinance was obviously created by city council at some point. And any ordinances that is created can be unmade, except in this case, when the land was conveyed to us by the group, George, was, you need to turn on your microphone, sorry.
Viroqua Area Veterans Memorial, Inc.
So when it was conveyed to us, it was conveyed as part of an agreement, and the agreement said that there will be a Veterans Memorial Commission, which is what we talked about last time. So Kayla and I and George sort of brainstormed over the course of an hour about like, how can we approach this? Is there a way that we can make changes to this while still following the spirit of the original agreement, which was to have, and as Cindy pointed out at the last meeting, have veteran involvement in decision-making, which is really important. And I don't know, George, if at this point you want to kind of share what your sort of recommendation on how we proceed from here, or what our options are.
No, that's fine. It always seems to fall in a gray area. The problem being we have an agreement with Viroqua Area Veterans Memorial, Inc., who pretty much the day after they signed the agreement dissolved. So there's no way to go back to them to amend the agreement because they don't exist any longer. So as I understand the issue, at the time the agreement was entered back in 2006, this was a new project. There was a lot of work to be done, enough for quarterly meetings that the agreement contemplated. But as time has gone by, work has dwindled. There's really not a need for quarterly meetings. And I know Nate was talking about whether there was really even a need for a standing commission, or if it would be something that could be, I don't know if ad hoc is the right word, or something that could be called on when we need them. I did a little research on it. I reached out to our attorney listserv. Nobody really had a good answer. I look at it in two ways. If we're going to change the spirit of not having the commission as stated, that's a big change. I don't know if we want to do that, if you want to do that. The issue being, I'm a rule follower. There's an agreement, I like to follow it. I'm not a ask for forgiveness rather than permission kind of guy. But the comeback in the agreement would be a very broad class of people defined as a person whose name is on the wall or a family member of a deceased person whose name is on the wall can file an action in court to enforce the agreement. And as Nate and Kale and I discussed, I think it would probably be very rare for somebody to file a court action to say, you're only meeting once a year and you're supposed to meet 4 times a year. I just don't think it's going to happen. But that doesn't mean the agreement still isn't there. So what I had proposed to Nate and Cal would be to put something on a future agenda where it can be discussed in public, because the public is essentially, at least a subset of the public is the group that's been given the authority to enforce the agreement. So say, hey, 20 years have passed since his agreement. This is what's happened. This isn't working anymore. There's really no way to change it with the original parties because Viroqua Area Veterans Memorial Inc. dissolved. So we're putting it out to you saying we intend to continue the spirit of the agreement. We intend to continue to have the same commission composed of the same people required by the agreement to make the decisions, but not make them meet 4 times a year. Have them more as an on-call. I think Lori said we have maybe 1 or 2 names every year or two. So the reality of the situation is it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I guess that wasn't envisioned 20 years ago when the agreement was entered. So the other thing I did was there was something in the agreement that talked about making the terms part of the deed. And sometimes if that happens, there could be a reversion or we would lose the property. I went and pulled the deed. There's nothing in the deed that would cause us to forfeit the property or lose it in any way or have it revert back to someone. So the only consequence would be someone he could file an injunction action to make us follow the exact terms of the agreement, which again, probably not going to happen, but technically could, I guess. So there's really no precedent that I could find anywhere to tell us what to do. But like I said, I thought the best way to approach it would be to put it out to the public and say, this is our problem. This is what we're planning on doing. Speak now or hold your peace.
Thanks, George. So from my perspective, and this was kind of a little bit of me driving this, is one of my goals was to try to limit the number of active entities we have within the city. Like the more entities we have, the more onerous it is for us to reappoint people. Lori can speak to it firsthand. Like she's always trying to keep track of different term limits and when they're meeting minutes. It just more bodies means more organization. And my thought was to take the essence and the spirit of what this was and wrap it up into a different existing regularly meeting body. But as George pointed out, that's probably not the best way that we can approach it, and that we probably should continue to have a Veterans Memorial Commission, continue to follow who the commissioners are, but just be more comfortable. But we can be comfortable with changing the meeting cadence, and that should serve our purposes. So if for the next 6 months they need to meet 2 to 3 times within that 6 month period to knock this questions out, hopefully it's not 2 to 3 meetings, maybe it's 1 or 2. And then they just go into hibernation until we need them again. And maybe we do like an annual meeting, just say, how are things going? Cale can give a report on how maintenance efforts go or any concerns he has, and just make it really try to keep it as simple as possible with the least amount of overhead would be sort of our thoughts. Like Cale and I talked on it again today, and I think that's the best place we landed. I did have one other question, but it sounds like AJ was going to, or look like the other question is terms of office, George. One of the things that we struggle with, I know Lori struggles with, is like trying to keep up with reappointments and bringing those back, and 2-year terms, and then having 3-year, 2 people to serve for, I'm trying to think. Oh, that's the initial appointment. Thank you. So it's every 3 years they would be reappointed. Can we get more creative with how long people, can we put them on for 5 years so that there's just, again, less overhead and maintenance of the body themselves?
Yeah, in looking at the agreement, it doesn't give the terms. It says the council can set the terms. Well, it says that the term should be staggered, but the city council can set the terms. So it doesn't have to be 2 years. It could be
And we'd still have to revise the ordinance to change the terms, but, and there's nothing in here about meeting frequency within the ordinance.
Yeah, it's quarterly.
Oh, it is, so that is within there.
Right.
Okay, so we could feel comfortable changing the ordinance on those two aspects to get it to be a little less problem.
I think we could, and like I said, the downside would be somebody, for some reason, could file an injunction with the court and say, this isn't the terms of the agreement, they should meet quarterly. And like I said, I don't think anybody would do that. But even if they did, if we can say, you know, Judge, here's the reality of the situation, we don't have business for a quarterly meeting. And as long as we put it out in front of the public and said, this is what we're going to do, you know, that would be their notice, I think. I mean, that's my best plan.
Is it the commission that would have to make that call, or is it on the quarterly meetings? Like, would you convene appoint the commission members, convene them, then have that public meeting to say we're switching from quarterly to as needed? Or would it be the council who would do that?
Well, I guess I didn't think about it, but thinking about it, if the commission meets and says we don't have business for quarterly meetings, you know, can we meet less frequently or on an as needed basis, and the council approves it? I mean, again, it's just something that you could serve up in defense of the claim, say, you know, well, we spoke to the commission, they don't, you know, want to come in and have a meeting every quarter when there's nothing on the agenda. You know, or I guess you can schedule a meeting and then cancel it if there's nothing on the agenda, but again, that's paperwork, form over substance.
Yeah, sure.
As a reminder, this all arose of somebody wanting to be added to the memorial, and then Cindy had to archive this ordinance to determine who was even in control of saying yay or nay to that.
We
And
didn't have
also-
enough room on one of the panels, and we wanted to know if we wanted to add a panel,
And
which
also-
opened this whole thing up.
What the eligibility is too.
Yeah.
We were letting anybody who wanted to get on, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. Within reason, I'm not saying you were, so it's supposed to be school district people.
Yeah.
Within Viroqua School District, not Vernon County.
Yeah, there's certainly some things that need to be firmed up.
I just wanted to remind the basis of this,
Yeah.
but
There's a lot of information at the museum about how their meetings and how they ran things and the decisions and FAQs and things, so that could be looked at.
George, did the agreement also note the makeup of the commissioners in terms of having two council members? Like, is that word for word what the agreement stated? Or is there any leeway on that?
The agreement states 5 members consisting of 2 veterans, 2 council members, and 1 member at large.
So there does have to be 2 council members on it. Yeah. Okay.
and currently this commission is,
The commission hasn't existed since I've
There's
worked
only
at the
2
city.
people that are still on it that are still alive.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time you can recall this? Have they met?
They have
since you
never
worked?
met since I've been here,
And that's been 10 years?
almost 15.
Sorry.
Yeah, or since I was around
Short.
either.
Short Lori. but-
You just figured Lori's so young that it had to
Yeah.
be yesterday she started.
I don't know why I thought, maybe Cheryl's at 10. I think Cheryl's at 10. Anyway, no, Sarah's way more than that. She's more than Lori.
There's 6 months before me.
Oh, yep. So do we need a motion? Because really our first step from what?
Well, do we need to create and
Commission.
appoint a commission
Right.
before we even put an agenda item to discuss their responsibilities? Or
Right.
timelines, I would say.
I think for having a more defensible position, we would create the commission, we would appoint the commission, have the commission meet, put this in front of the commission and say, the first order of business is getting things organized here. We would recommend that you make a recommendation back to council that the ordinance be changed in order to allow for less frequent meetings, right? And then away we go. And simultaneously, they can actually be working on the matter at hand, which is providing input on the panels and the eligibility requirements. And so for those reasons, because it's already an ordinance, and unless you guys want us to do something different from that, I don't think we need a motion. I think we just go and,
We just need the people who are going to be on it brought to council. So the mayor would have to bring forward.
right, right.
I think we have a member in the audience that's interested. Dave was a former Marine, so I thought maybe that's why you were here today. No.
So we good on that?
As long as I can get the mayor to come up with some names
Okay.
to put on council for appointment. That's the biggest issue for all committees.
Yeah.
Give them some work.
Cindy knows somebody.
And help with the veterans, yeah.
All right, so we're good for now? All right. Discussion, or we'll move on to item 9, discussion with possible action on city's comprehensive plan.
Okay, so we're making the rounds with all the committees to make sure that any aspects of the comprehensive plan, the full comprehensive plan, give them an opportunity to provide input on it from the specific lens of that committee. So from a park and rec standpoint, reviewing the comprehensive plan and saying, here's where we see shortcomings, here we would like to see more, so on and so forth. The interesting situation with Park and Rec Committee is that we just approved a comprehensive outdoor rec plan, and that the key part of the comprehensive plan simply cites right there, see the comprehensive outdoor rec plan, right? Which would make sense, right? Like there's no need to take pieces or summarize pieces of the comprehensive outdoor rec plan we just approved and then insert them into the full comprehensive plan, because it just duplicates wording, right? So by simply having a reference, please see this, it makes it pretty simple for us. The question that Kale and I had is that the extent of what this committee wants to consider when it comes to the comprehensive plan, right? The pages before talked about the transportation section that included the conversations about the bike and pedestrian plan, which has a sort of tangential or synergy with Park and Rec, right? Because there's walk sheds and conversations about that. But then there's also conversations about like the housing element. Does the Park and Rec Committee have input on the housing element of the comprehensive plan, right? Or at this point, are you content with just saying like, no, the comprehensive outdoor rec plan speaks on our behalf and should thus inform the comprehensive plan as a whole? And so him and I went back and forth a little bit today about like, what's the right approach to this? What makes sense? How much more do we need to inflate the wording within the comprehensive plan? Or is the simplest streamlined solution better? And we looked at some other comprehensive plans, and some of them do integrate more language in there. But the one that in particular that we looked at also referenced in their comprehensive plan, one of their action steps was to create a comprehensive outdoor rec plan. So they're a step behind us in that regard. So again, I want to bring this to you because it's really important that you folks have buy-in over the comprehensive plan. I wanted to note your specific section. This particular item down here where we talk about this facilities talks a lot about community facilities, and so fire and water, sewer, and the rest will have an opportunity to really talk about what's lacking, but those departments haven't just created their own comprehensive plan, right? Where this group has. So again, I just want to tee that up for you folks tonight and simply leave it as an open-ended question. What would you prefer to do?
This is Emma, and as somebody who works in policies that overlap with other policies, and you're all over the place, I say just refer to the comprehensive park plan and keep it as simple as possible. Right? Because then you're not bouncing back and forth. But that's just my opinion as far as like future use. It's making it as simple as possible. I realize other people might have preferences. But I find you kind of run into problems when you're trying to document things in two different places. Potentially.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, like, would we end up contradicting ourselves maybe if we add something and then it's not in the outdoor rec
Yeah.
plan, or it conflicts with like some of the objectives and goals?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think Emma put it really succinctly. Of what one of our concerns would be is like we're duplicating stuff and open ourselves for potential error. The only caveat, so I would agree greatly with Emma's comments. The only thing that we might want to do then is at particular spots within other elements of the comprehensive plan, should there be more references to the comprehensive outdoor rec plan? Like when looking at housing, say, consider housing, new housing developments with an understanding of the recommendations in the comprehensive outdoor rec plan as it relates to green spaces, playground equipment, et cetera. Right? Like there's probably more elements besides just this one section where we could reference to the plan that we created.
I think that's fine as long as you're not like necessarily going into embellishing it, you know? Like, does that make sense? Or trying to summarize it too
Yeah.
much?
No, that tracks.
Like,
'Cause
see, like, you know, a simple line. It's like regarding green spaces in new housing developments, see comprehensive recreation plan, park and rec plan.
or even the bike and pedestrian
Exactly.
within those new developments, like if, you know, we don't have to go back 40 years from now to implement a bike path. We could put it in now. Is that, I would think you for sure want. a
Yeah, it
reference
is
in there.
interesting in here because to Emma's point and what you were talking about right now, the consultants did go ahead. Sorry, this is the slowest possible way to go up pages. The consultants did actually pull out recommendations and objectives from the bicycle and pedestrian plan and actually rewrite them here, which is sort of what we said we wanted to avoid. Like, don't duplicate efforts, just reference, like, you know, here they say objectives, implement the 2025 bicycle and pedestrian plan, and then stop. But then there's other spaces where they reiterate. And so I think part of the reason they did that is because when they were creating this document, bike and pedestrian plan was done. And so it was an easy thing to reference. Whereas the comprehensive outdoor rec plan was simultaneously being created. And so they didn't have a final document to work off of yet. And that's why we got to where we want. But I think unless anybody has any different opinions, AJ or Seth, you know, Steve, or Cindy, about how we should approach this, I think that gives direction to Kayla and I about when we're reviewing this, about where to insert more. And it should be pretty simple for us to do.
I would agree with that.
Cindy, do you have any other? AJ? Okay. Kayla, is there anything else you wanted to bring up, or is that? Okay. Okay.
Okay. I guess that brings us to Park and Rec Director updates.
Just a few updates, not a whole lot. Parks, just like the ice rink, the cross-country ski trails, we had it open last Friday, with the snow, but now as of today, we closed those down as well. We've had maybe 2 weeks of cross-country ski trails, so not too bad, but hopefully there's still snow in the forecast. The only other major thing, and some of you might have heard, behind the scoreboard, there was a water leak over Christmas. So there's a big hole in the hillside this fall or this spring. Public Works and utilities will help clean that up. But it was a big water leak that came through the hillside and onto the baseball field. So right after that, snow fell. So I've been off for a little bit, so I haven't seen the damage. So once that thaws out, we'll see how much damage we have to the baseball field and that trail system. Hopefully not too much. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that. Recreation update, again, with help from pickleball. We are starting our winter session, which starts tomorrow, for a clinic, a special clinic. If you register for the winter session, you're invited to that. And then the following Wednesday will be our 8-week session of pickleball. Beginners is looking good. We have currently 31 out of the 32 spots filled. Advanced is a little lower. I think as of today, we had 13 out of the 32. So advanced has been slower. So me and Vapa are kind of looking at why that, why advanced is down and beginners is up. So hopefully we'll have some answers in the future for that. The 2 holiday programs that we tried, Letters to the Santa, it was a good idea. We just didn't get a whole lot of buy-in for that. I think Letters to Santa, I think there's just so much out there. Different communities do it, mail, so we just didn't get too much buy-in. The holiday decorating contest with help from Nelson Ager Center and Kim Little, we had 5 houses be nominated for the first year and then only 1 business. So next year, hoping to expand on that. But I think the overall success on Facebook was awesome. There was a lot of people that once we put it up, there was a lot of people that voted for it. So it was a good program that we tried to do, and I think we'll continue to make changes and do that for next year. So other than that, that's all I got for Parks and Recreation updates. Any questions?
I guess
Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thanks.
as far as the pickleball, like I know in previous sessions, some of them were just drop in. Was that over the summer?
Yeah, drop-in is only the summer.
Okay, but like I just didn't know if like the community knew that.
We've
Yeah,
made
but-
some switches to our write-ups and all that because
Okay.
we did have drop-in, which was confusing.
Right.
But yes, fall and winter and spring you have to register, and then summer is a new because we didn't charge for that, so that one's more of a drop-in.
And then if so it starts, they can still register though, correct?
Yep.
I just want
Yep.
to make sure if they're listening.
Yeah, we
Sign
put
up.
it. Yeah, I think registration ends the end of January
Right.
if it's still open.
There could be some snowbirds too.
Yep.
That's all I got. All right. Anybody else? Questions? All right. Second period for public comment. Anybody want to make a comment? Anybody online? Oh, sure. Here. Well, come on up, Dave, and then we'll have you. Yeah, you got to do the whole spiel. And then you have them you got to hit the person on the microphone.
My name is David Blue. I live at West Maple Street in Viroqua. And this is probably more towards Cindy because she's my ward. I'm in her ward. My comment is there's a street light on West Maple and Rock that's been out for quite a while. I just thought I'd bring it to you guys' attention.
You said?
Yeah, right on the corner,
Oh, okay,
West Maple and Rock. It's across the street from
okay,
there, but it's on that corner.
okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll tell Sarah.
Yes.
2 things. One, I was processing the conversation about the comprehensive plan and the rest of the plan, and just hoping that keeping it separate doesn't mean it's a lower priority. I don't know how the document works, but people look at documents sometimes and they think what they're seeing is what there is. And if there's a single reference to the comprehensive plan elsewhere, doesn't actually address issues sometimes when people are looking at it, or you're leaving a trail for yourself or establishing priorities. Separately, I think the advanced section is later at night. And so what I've observed is there are advanced players who choose to play earlier because it just works. And then we expect them to be more social and nice. So I think we'll probably see numbers increase a little bit because we have had to deal with this phenomena of people drop in and they just want to play, they think that they can do that. And there's like, well, no, everybody else is registered. And so we're trying to find ways to be more flexible with that. We're learning as we go and we're just all volunteers. And I think one of the ways we're trying to address this issue is, oh, yeah, you can play today because there's room. You're not interfering with someone else's experience, but you have to sign up if you want to continue. And I don't think we were nimble that way in the past, or at least we didn't have an objective process for that. So, but Kayla and I meet pretty regularly to try to make sure this all works. And, but it's always creating expectations and managing expectations. And people love small town simplicity, but we all want it to be nice. But it's a gym. And so the other issue is people who are very ambitious in their pickleball might drive up to lacrosse and seek out other kinds of advanced play in different kind of settings. And I think we will always be building the community with the beginner intermediate group. That'll be our focus because that's where most people are. So anyway, try to answer that question about that.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I guess we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
AJ, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Cindy, I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Emma, have a good night.
Thanks, George.
No, we have.